Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. Today, I'd like to talk about a little phrase that cheekily sums up the notion of skill development. And it's the infamous you've got to crawl before you can walk. And it basically means that we needed to do the physiologically taxing growth before we can stood up and walk, or possibly we wouldn't be as coordinated as we needed to be to walk. We needed to do the hard work of figuring out of who we were, trying and failing, and picking ourselves back up before we could really succeed. And if we didn't do all the hard work to begin with, before we die, we will likely end up having to learn the hard way by going back and crawling. We must understand or become adept at the basic skills, techniques, or details of something before moving on that which requires greater skill or experience. These are some of the alternative takes on this rather popular phrase. You cannot take on higher level things before you have mastered the basics. You must learn to fly before you can soar with eagles. You must learn to swim before you can dive with dolphins. You must learn to bark before you can howl with coyotes. We may want to climb Mount Everest, but we need to understand that there's a progression that should be followed. There's a sequence of knowledge, understanding, awareness, perception, and practice that must be adhered to. Children develop skills in a predictable sequence that must be followed. For instance, babies do not learn to walk before they crawl. They babble before they can speak words. There are, of course, some exceptions, and with that, lots of future clumsiness may follow. Why do we suppose babies crawl at all? According to fitness author Tim Anderson, this simple activity has evolved as a way for humans to develop coordination and unilateral strength, which will eventually pave the way for a lifetime of healthy movement patterns. We also need to remind ourselves that no step is too small to take. So, what is the smallest step you can take? And what qualifies is anything you didn't do before. As energy increases, you take progressively bigger steps. Last but not least, we need to realize that making mistakes is a normal part of learning. No one walks right out of the womb. We first learn to sit up, crawl, and in the process of it, we fall innumerable times before we can walk, run, and play. And that's it for today's rather short episode. I hope you got something out of it. And as always, until next time, take care.